This video is brought to you by NordVPN. Give yourself options online. Go to nordvpn.com/TopTenz or use code TopTenz to grab a 2-year plan for just $89. More on them in a bit. Castles for the romantic among us personify the age-old ideals of chivalry and the loyalty that comes with epic wars, as well as selfless devotion to the throne. However, once we put the romantic notions aside, we can look at the important role castles have played in world history, particularly European history. The word castle originates from the Latin word castrum, which literally means fortified place, as the earliest parts of almost all the castles still standing today were built as fortresses to protect local inhabitants from invading armies. When looking at the world's oldest castles, it's obvious that the grand buildings that still stand today were designed or completed in stages after the original fortress was built. Despite the fact that many have undergone substantial restoration work over the years, the majority of them are extremely popular tourist destinations and are open to the general public. Number 10. Alcázar of Segovia in Spain. The Alcázar of Segovia was built on the remains of a Roman fort and served as an Arab fortress until King Alfonso VI reclaimed the area around 1120, when the first written record of the castle appears. The castle became the primary residence of King Alfonso VIII and his wife Eleanor of England during his reign, and they began the construction of the castle as it remains today. When looking at its exterior, it's easy to see why many people around the world actually believe that the castle's design inspired Walt Disney's creative direction for Cinderella's castle. The castle became one of the most significant strongholds for the Castilian monarchs right up until the capital's move to Madrid. It was gradually returned to its former glory beginning in 1882 and was eventually handed over to the Ministry of War in 1896 by King Alfonso VIII to be used as a military academy. Today, the Alcázar is a UNESCO World Heritage Site that is open to tourists all year round who visit its archives and museum. Number 9. Rochester Castle in England. The impressive Rochester Castle was constructed in the late 1080s after William II requested that Gundulf, Bishop of Rochester, build a stone castle in Rochester so that he could take control of a key river crossing. Gundulf was ahead of his time in many ways and was one of William the Conqueror's greatest architects, building not only Rochester Castle but also the Tower of London. Most of the walled perimeter that can still be seen today dates from this era. Many of England's early castles were made of mortar and bailey, so this stone castle is one of the country's oldest of its kind. The castle was besieged in the early 13th century by King John, who in the process caused significant damage to the outer wall and the main structure. According to historic records, the castle changed hands at least 2 more times during the 13th century, and its prominence would continue to change with the times. Major repair work was undertaken during the 19th as well as the 20th century to restore its original grandeur. Today, Rochester Castle is a prominent tourist attraction and is under the care of English heritage. Number 8. Kilkenny Castle in Ireland. Kilkenny Castle claims the bragging rights when it comes to having one of the longest histories of continuous occupation throughout Ireland. The castle was established soon after the Norman invasion of Ireland and was expanded, remodeled, and altered over the next 800 years to suit each era. The first castle was constructed by the Earl of Pembroke and within 100 years was replaced by a stone structure of which 3 original towers survive to this day. Damaged during the Cromwellian occupation, the castle was restored by the Butler family from around 1661. Though the Kilkenny Castle of today is largely a remodeled version of the 13th century castle, it is open to thousands of visitors who every year come to see its beauty and walk its 50-acre estate, which includes a magnificent picture gallery, drawing room, library, nursery, magnificent bedrooms, as well as its gardens that include plenty of wildlife. The castle was bought for £50 from the Castle Restoration Committee in 1967 after Lord Ormond decided to put a stop to its deterioration, and currently it belongs to the people of Kilkenny. Number 7. Portchester Castle in England. Portchester Castle's construction began as early as the 3rd century. It was initially a Roman fort, one of the most famous forts of the Saxon shore, a series of coastal defences constructed during the 3rd century to counter the threat posed by Saxon pirates who were raiding Roman Britain's south coast at the time. The Roman defences were later integrated into the medieval castle, which was designed in the late 11th century. Its remarkable 12th century keep's remnants are the most complete circuit still standing in the UK today. The castle would later be used as a hunting lodge by King John and as a launch site by Henry II when he decided to visit his French territories. Henry II also used the castle to incarcerate any important captives and to safeguard his treasury before moving it to France. The castle was likewise used for quick stopovers by England's rulers. Due to its rich history, Professor Barry Cunliffe guided major archaeological excavations at the castle between 1961 and 1979. Thousands of artifacts dating from prehistoric times to the 19th century were discovered during the excavations, transforming our appreciation for its history. Number 6. Killyleagh Castle in Ireland. Northern Ireland is home to one of the world's most ancient and iconic castles, Killyleagh Castle, which can almost be described as the biggest draw in the village of Killyleagh. King James I granted the land man to James Hamilton, who later would become the first Viscount Clainboy, and he proceeded to construct remarkable perimeter walls and a single-towered castle. It is the oldest inhabited castle in Ireland, with parts dating back to 1180. In the early 1700s, James Hamilton acquired ownership of the castle. The original castle was expanded by different family members who added buildings, towers, and walls. Today, Gordon Rowan Hamilton and his family live at Killyleagh Castle. They have opened 2 of the towers to serve guests within the area with self-catering accommodation. Guests also have access to the castle's swimming pool, rooftop patio, and tennis courts. The towers can accommodate up to 15 people at any given time and even includes modern comforts such as central heating. In addition, the castle nowadays also hosts live concerts and allowed the children's show Danny's Castle to be filmed on its grounds. Now, speaking of castles, if you want your internet experience to withstand the metaphorical might of sappers and siege engines, you're going to want a good layer of protection. Fortunately, that's where today's sponsor NordVPN comes in. Do you remember what the internet was like in 1996? Telling your dad to get off the phone so you could check your email, waiting 30-40 seconds just to access the homepage, ugly websites loading in broken HTML. The internet has changed a lot in 25 years, but millions of people still surf the web like Chandler and Monica never got together. It's time to bring your surfing habits into the 21st century with NordVPN. Protect yourself from IP trackers and aggressive advertisements with NordVPN's military-grade encryption. It works great whether you're sporting a Mac or a PC. Plus, it's based in Panama, which makes it a fantastic option for Americans and Europeans. There are no logs kept. And look, a common misconception is that VPNs are for people who want to play defense, but they're not just for protecting yourself. You'll be amazed at the different streaming options you have when jumping onto a server from Japan, or prices you can get when you shop from another country. Protect yourself or just play around. Buy it for yourself or consider it as a gift for another internet user in your life. With NordVPN, you've got loads of options. And right now, my listeners can take advantage of a summer deal that NordVPN is running. Any purchase of a 2-year plan comes with a huge discount plus 4 additional months for free. And if you make a purchase and decide a VPN isn't for you, NordVPN offers a 30-day money-back guarantee. There's never been a better time to enhance your online experience with NordVPN. So head to nordvpn.com/TopTenz or use the code TopTenz at checkout, or just follow the link in the description box below. And let's get back to those castles. Number 5. Hohensalzburg Castle in Austria. One of Europe's biggest 11th century fortress complexes towers over the city of Salzburg, fondly known as the City of Mozart. This grandiose masterpiece is an extraordinary expression of the Prince Bishop's longing for recognition, as well as exhibition of the cultural authority and political power they wielded. The defenses were constructed to protect the Prince Bishops from any and all attacks, though in reality the fortress never came under siege. The Prince Bishops spent the majority of their time in the residence, a palace in the heart of Salzburg. The magnificent fortress was developed over 3 main historical periods in direct response to the advent of robust weaponry with increasing ranges as a means to further strengthen the castle. Under the regime of Archbishop Leonard von Kustasch around 1500, concentrated construction work finalized the castle as seen today, and it still houses the Salzburg Bull, a wheel-driven barrel organ that is over 500 years old. The organ has been restored numerous times over the centuries and continues to be heard daily at 7 a.m., 11 a.m., and 6 p.m. when it plays the marvelous pieces from the former conductors of the Salzburg court ensembles such as Paul Hofheimer, Johann Ernst Oberlin, and Leopold Mozart. Number 4. Windsor Castle in England. Windsor Castle has been used by England's ruling monarch since the reign of King Henry I, making it Europe's longest occupied castle. Even though there was a royal residence at Windsor during the Saxon period around the 9th century, the building of the first castle began around 1070 following William the Conqueror's Norman invasion of England. The original castle was constructed of Martin Bailey, but stone fortifications were gradually added. When Henry III assumed power, he built a lavish royal palace within the castle, which was later rebuilt by Edward III to make it even grander. The majority of the world's oldest castles have become tourist attractions, but Windsor Castle remains a royal residence. It is, in reality, Queen Elizabeth II's favourite weekend home. Since being built in the 11th century, 39 monarchs have used it as a residence, which is pretty incredible. Even though the castle remains one of the Queen's preferred homes, part of the castle are open to the public on certain days of the year. Number 3. Warwick Castle, England. William the Conqueror built the first castle on the current site of Warwick Castle in 1068. Every succeeding Earl of Warwick gradually constructed the castle into a stone structure over the next century, and by the late 1300s the original building had been expanded to include a dungeon and 2 towers. Unfortunately, Warwick Castle fell into disrepair during the 16th century and would not be restored for several decades. In 1978, the Greville family, who had owned the castle for over 300 years, sold it to the Two Swords Group, and the castle and its grounds were restored to their former glory. story. The castle's ownership would change hands again in the 21st century, and today is leased by Merlin Entertainments. From Prestbury Group, seasonal shows, musical performances, and even Dragon Slayer evenings make it an incredibly popular attraction. In fact, the medieval castle is in all probability one of England's most popular tourist attractions. Number 2, Reichsburg Cochem in Germany. Reichsburg Cochem, also known as Cochem Castle, is one of the oldest surviving castles in the world. The Palatinate court Ezo is presumed to have founded the castle around the year 1000. According to the earliest documentation we have of the castle, Reichsburg, the former queen of Poland and Ezo's oldest daughter, decided to give the castle to her nephew, Palatine Count Henry I, in 1051. After King Conrad III forcibly seized the castle in 1151, it was designated as an imperial castle. It was partly destroyed by French King Louis XIV's troops in 1688, but Louis Frédéric Jacques Revenet rebuilt it in the Gothic Revival style in 1868. This style reflected the romantic ideals common in Germany during the 19th century. The trend in Germany at the time was for aristocracy as well as other wealthy individuals to buy and renovate castle ruins as family summer residences. The Revenet family followed suit and used the castle as a summer retreat for their family. The Revenet family carefully acquired Renaissance and Baroque furniture, which is still present in the castle today. The town of Cochem has owned the castle since 1978. Number 1, Citadel of Aleppo in Syria. We have only one Middle Eastern castle on this list, and it just happens to be the world's largest and oldest. The Citadel of Aleppo was founded on a hill within Aleppo's ancient city, which was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1986. The significance and use of the hill can be traced back to 3000 BCE, but the majority of the current structure is believed to have been constructed during the Ayyubid dynasty in the 12th century. The majestic entrance bridge, high walls, and grand gateway of the city, all of which are mostly intact, provide a striking backdrop for the ancient city. Until conflicts broke out in 2011, the Citadel attracted thousands of tourists every year. The Aga Khan Trust for Culture carried out large-scale field research and conservation endeavors on the Citadel in the early 2000s. Their actions culminated in meticulous documentation of the site and incalculable conservation work. Some of the Citadel's most important structures were strengthened and preserved in the process, allowing them to be dynamically reused and fully interpreted for the site's visitors. Regrettably, the Citadel has been badly damaged in recent years as a result of the ongoing Syrian civil war, and while repairs have begun, concerns about the Citadel's safety remain an ongoing concern. So I really hope you found that video interesting. If you did, please do hit that thumbs up button below. Don't forget to subscribe, and as always, thank you for watching.